Hey Sneak Peekers, I'm Mason.
And I'm Erin.
We have some exciting stuff for you guys tonight, including an exciting review of Edgar Wright's new movie, Last Night in Soho.
And with that, let's get started.
Hey, Erin, have you seen the news that Zayn Malik supposedly had an altercation with Gigi Hadid's mother, Yolanda?
Yes, I saw it on CNN.
Yes, Zayn was charged in September for 4 instances of harassment, according to citation records and mail-in plea records reported by CNN.
That's right, and in his mail-in plea, he wrote a NOLA, or no contest, in response to the charges, but a court employee entered them as guilty pleas, stating that no contest was not an option for the level of alleged offenses, according to the court documents.
In addition to the pleas, Zayn also agreed to 90 days probation for each count, as well as attending anger management classes and having no contact with Yolanda.
Zayn released a statement on Twitter, ultimately stating that he wants this to be dealt with privately.
We hope that everything gets resolved for Gigi and Zayn in the future, but we are unsure if there will be any future for the couple.
That's right. According to Entertainment Tonight, the couple split up after 6 years together.
I really love them, so I hope they get back together.
Me too, but speaking of together, Kristen Stewart announced that she is engaged to her girlfriend Dylan Meyer after 2 years together.
That's very exciting news, considering her new movie Spencer is set to release this Friday.
I am very excited to see it and very excited for the pair.
Me too.
In other news, Grey's Anatomy has introduced its first non-binary doctor.
It's really exciting to see representation for the LGBTQ+ community.
I know, right?
The show's first non-binary actor as well, E.R. Fightmaster, is ready to play Dr. Kai Bartley as a recurring cast member.
I'm really excited to see Fightmaster on November 11th.
In other news, Erin, did you see the picture of Pete Davidson and Kim Kardashian from over the weekend?
I did. The two were seen holding hands on a roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm on Friday night. This comes after Kim Kardashian hosted Saturday Night Live on October 9th.
Whatever is or isn't going on between them, I'm intrigued. Hopefully we'll hear more about that in the future, but for now we have Nick here with us to tell us his thoughts about all the recent trailer releases.
And there have been a lot of new trailers, so get comfy, sneak peekers.
Take it away, Nick.
What's up, everybody? I'm Nick, and I'm here to tell you all about some upcoming and highly anticipated movies that have finally received some official trailers. First up, last Wednesday, Disney and Pixar released a first look at the origin story of everyone's favorite space toy, Lightyear. Set to an epic version of the classic David Bowie track, Starman, Lightyear tells the story of the fictional hero that inspired Woody's best friend. With gorgeous visuals, stunning animation, and actor Chris Evans lending his voice to Buzz Lightyear himself, Lightyear looks to be another promising addition to the Pixar collection when it hits theaters next summer. Next, Sony unveiled the official trailer for the first live-action video game adaptation, Uncharted. Designed to be a prequel to the video game series of the same name, Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg play younger versions of the game's protagonists, Nathan Drake and Victor Sullivan, treasure hunters of the Indiana Jones type who travel the world searching for mysteries lost to history. While the trailer promises the film to be full of action and humor as the games are, my personal problem with the film lies with the casting. I cannot see Tom or Mark as their respective characters at all, but I'm hoping my mind will change when the movie releases in theaters this coming February. Michael Bay is back with another explosion-filled blockbuster dropping on the same day as Sony's Uncharted, starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Yahya Abdul-Mateen II. Ambulance has Yahya and Jake rob a bank, but when the heist goes wrong, the two are forced to steal an occupied ambulance in order to escape the police and return to their families. As jarring as Bay's angles and editing are, I have to say I'm much more excited to see this than Sony's Uncharted, mostly due to the fact that Ambulance's leads are phenomenal actors who I know can make any film they are in seem brilliant. Finally, yet another treasure-hunting action blockbuster is coming to theaters and your own televisions at home with Netflix's Red Notice. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stars as an FBI agent who is framed for a crime he didn't commit by the world's most wanted art thief, played by Gal Gadot. The Rock is then forced to team up with the world's second most wanted art thief, who is played by none other than Ryan Reynolds, to prevent Gadot's character from stealing Cleopatra's eggs. Despite being filled with some unoriginal but classic Ryan Reynolds humor, I have to say I'm kind of excited to see how well these three big stars work together in a movie like this. The film actually releases this Friday and will be available in select theaters starting next week. Among these, there were also some new trailers for movies and television shows coming to your favorite streaming services. Trailers for Disney Plus's animated Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie and the sixth Home Alone movie, Home Sweet Home Alone, both are which dropping this year on the service, were released over the last couple of weeks, as well as Amazon Prime's The Tender Bar starring Ben Affleck and Ty Sheridan, and the anticipated The Wheel of Time, based off the book series of the same name. And lastly, just several days ago, Netflix revealed the trailer for the next insane season of Tiger King. That's it from me for tonight.
Aaron, have you seen Last Night in Soho yet?
No, but I want to so badly. I love Edgar Wright's movie.
Me too. The trailer makes the movie look very interesting, but I'm not too sure what to expect from it.
Well, we have Ryan here to tell us his thoughts on the recent release.
Tell us about it, Ryan.
Hey sneak peekers. I had the chance to watch director Edgar Wright's newest film, Last Night in Soho, this past weekend, and I wanted to tell you all about it. So let's jump right into it. Edgar Wright is one of my favorite directors. His filmography is filled with stylized genre classics, including Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Baby Driver. So when he decided to take on a horror movie, taking inspiration from films like Blow Up and Repulsion, there was a lot to be excited about. Last Night in Soho follows Eloise as she moves to London to attend university and study fashion, with the hopes of becoming a designer. Eloise begins to have dreams where she's in the 1960s London district of Soho, and these nightmares slowly begin to haunt her everyday life. There's a lot to love here. First off, I think the most incredible thing about this film is the visual style and cinematography. Wright has always been a director with a key visual style and has been praised for keeping visual comedy alive in an age where most comedies look bland and uninteresting. But Wright is stepping into the horror game here, and for that, he recruited Chung-Hoon Chung to be the cinematographer. Chung is a Korean cinematography legend, shooting some of the best Korean films in recent memory, including The Handmaiden, Stoker, and Oldboy, as well as shooting Hollywood films like It and Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Here, Chung-Hoon Chung creates bold and haunting images that perfectly capture what Wright is going for. Neon-soaked frames with incredible in-camera tricks that make the whole movie a treat for the eyes. Add in incredible production design and editing on top of that, and you've got yourself a technical winner. In front of the camera, you also have a winning cast. Thomasin McKenzie of Leave No Trace and Jojo Rabbit plays our lead, Eloise, and she really captures the slow turn to insanity well. But the two cast members who really steal the show are Anya Taylor-Joy and acting legend Diana Rigg. Rigg, an Emmy and Tony winner, really shines in a film that also serves as a perfect swan song for her last performance. She passed away September 2020 and will be truly missed, but this is definitely a good showcase of her long-lasting talent. Anya Taylor-Joy of Split and The Queen's Gambit plays 1960s aspiring singer Sandy, and her performance is incredibly haunting. Filling out the rest of the cast is Doctor Who's Matt Smith, Attack the Block's Michael Ajao, and Oscar nominee Terrence Stamp, who all give great performances as well. Between all the talent in front of and behind the camera, Last Night in Soho should be a masterpiece. And yet it's not. Don't get me wrong, I like this movie and had a lot of fun with it, but fun is the key word here. While there is an underlying, frightening story happening, ultimately, Wright as a filmmaker is too fun to ever be truly scary. The beginning hour of this movie is wonderful, and I personally love the ending too, but the middle of the film drags, and Wright simply repeats the same few scares over and over. As a narrative, the film's interesting, but as a horror film, I was never really scared. The jump scares were used far too often and were just disappointing coming from Wright, who I love and know is capable of far more. I think the script definitely could have used some work. There are some wonderful ideas here, but it maybe could have used some more thought in the scares themselves. The themes got muddled some as well, although I did find the theme of nostalgia becoming dangerous interesting coming from Wright, whose career has been built on meta takes on genre films. That being said, this was still a fun ride. I would still recommend this film, especially if you're a fan of Wright's filmography. It's one that has certainly left me thinking, which is more than most horror films do nowadays, unfortunately enough. I also would recommend seeing this projected on film. If you're in the Austin area, there are 35mm projections in the area, and seeing that way was really cool and helped sell the 60s aesthetic. Overall, while there are interesting themes and great elements in Last Night in Soho, the script kept me from falling in love with this film the way I did some of Wright's previous films. That being said, I still recommend it, giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. That's all from me, and now, back to the hosts.
Well, after that thriller review, I definitely need some comedy.
Me too, and I know SNL is on its 47th season.
That's right, but after all of these seasons, I still can't decide which host I like the best.
Oh, I can. My favorite was definitely Rami Malek. I love seeing his personality.
Oh, me too, but I'm going to have to disagree with you and say that I thought Owen Wilson was definitely better than Rami.
I don't agree with you, but someone else who may not agree with either of us is Kate, who is here to rank them all, and I for sure can't wait to see the ranking.
Let's hear it, Kate.
Hi Sneak Peekers! As hopefully most of you know, the 47th season of the NBC comedy series Saturday Night Live premiered on October 2nd, and there have been 4 new episodes so far, with hosts Owen Wilson, Kim Kardashian, Rami Malek, and Jason Sudeikis. I don't know about you guys, but I really look forward to SNL episodes so I can analyze each host's performance. The celebrity guest host has arguably one of the most important jobs of the night. They deliver an opening monologue, are featured in most of the sketches with the cast, and close out the show, so they make up a majority of the episode's screen time. But beyond that, the way the host carries themselves, interacts with the cast, and the host's off-screen work ethic and relationship with the cast and writers dictates whether or not the episode will be good and well received. With this all being said, I'd like to take this time to rank the 4 hosts we've seen so far in this season in order from worst to best. In 4th place, and unfortunately the worst in my opinion, was Kim. I'll give it to her though, Kim pleasantly surprised me with her ability to make fun of herself and her family. Her opening monologue was absolutely hilarious and had several shocking one-liners that had me speechless. While she was better than I was expecting, a lot of her performance fell flat and her comedic timing was slightly off. I felt myself relying on the other cast members' performances to lift her up and make me laugh. Overall, though, her performance was good, and if you watch one skit from that episode, it has to be the People's Court segment. You'll see some familiar faces, and I guarantee you'll laugh. Coming in at 3rd has to be Rami Malek. It's always fun to see Rami's goofier side, as most of his roles are more on the darker, serious side. This episode was hilarious, and the Squid Game song was surprisingly catchy. He delivered his monologue in a way that sounded natural and flowed well, and his jokes definitely hit. Rami Malek's performance was amazing, and he did a killer Pete Davidson impression that had me laughing out loud for sure. The episode featured a surprise appearance by his No Time to Die castmate, Daniel Craig, and overall was a great episode, but not my favorite of the season. 2nd place goes to Owen Wilson. As the first episode of the 47th season, I had high hopes for this one, and Owen Wilson delivered. This episode was such a great way to kick off the new season, and it was fun to see some special appearance by Owen Wilson's brother, Luke. Every sketch was hilarious, and it was especially cool to see Owen take back on his role as Lightning McQueen in a sketch that was basically Cars Gone South. While he said in the past he's never hosted SNL because he would be too nervous, I couldn't tell at all. He was composed, funny, and seamlessly blended in with the rest of the cast, but he still wasn't my favorite. That title has to go to the one and only Jason Sudeikis. It was wonderful to see Jason back on the SNL stage since his departure from the show in 2013. He had come back for a few skits here and there, but this was his first time actually hosting, and he crushed it. I was so happy to see the devil back behind the Weekend Update desk, and when Fred Armisen joined Jason and Keenan and What's Up With That, I had tears running down my face from laughing so hard. He performed flawlessly in his monologue and every sketch he was in, and as much as I love Ted Lasso, I do miss the days where Jason was an SNL cast member. He is such a joy to watch up there. Well, that's that, folks. You just heard my ranking of the SNL hosts so far, from worst to best, but I want to emphasize that they all did very well, and the episodes of the 47th season have been awesome so far. I encourage you all to go treat yourselves and watch. Tweet us your thoughts on SNL's hosts, Sneak Peek TV.
I am so glad that Sneak Peek got the opportunity to attend the Austin Film Festival over the past week.
Me too, but with all the interviews and movies, I am definitely going to need a recap.
Well, you're in luck. We have Amanda, Hunter, and Robbie here with us to talk us through some of their thoughts about the festival.
Fill us in, guys.
Hey Sneak Peekers, I'm Hunter Gasaway, and welcome to our AFF discussion panel. I'm here with Amanda and Robbie, and we're just going to talk about some of our favorite movies that we had the honor of seeing at AFF this past week. So Robbie, what was one of your favorites that you saw at the festival?
Well, one of my favorites, which I saw with you, Hunter, was a wonderful little movie called It Hatched.
It Hatched is a fantastic Icelandic horror film that can only best be described as Iceland's version of Tommy Wiseau's The Room. It is truly awful, but in the best way, where the performances are not good at all, but they make for a truly magical movie-going experience.
It truly was, Hunter. I definitely agree with you there. I love the parts where the husband called his wife in the movie his silly Billy Gumdrop. That whenever I heard that repeatedly, I was just like, Man, this is definitely cinema right here.
Yeah, me and Robbie, during the film, which we saw with some of our other friends, we were laughing through the entire thing, slapping each other, like coughing so loud because we were laughing, and we were hurting from laughing. It was truly a fantastic experience, and I suggest you check out It Hatched whenever it becomes available to watch, because it's a mind-blowing experience.
That's right. The second this goes digital, I'm gathering all of my friends together to watch It Hatched, and we will eat popcorn and have a great time.
It's going to be fantastic. Amanda, tell us about something that you saw that you enjoyed.
So AFF was really fun, but unfortunately I did not get to watch a lot of movies. Actually, I only got to watch one, but it was the Grand Bolero, and I got to interview the director, Gabriel Fabreau, and I just gotta say, he was my favorite person to interview. He was full of energy, super nice. I loved interviewing him. But his movie, oh my god, I loved it. It might be one of my new favorite movies. The soundtrack, it's a movie about pipe organs. So the soundtrack was amazing, cinematography was mwah. And then the character development was incredible, super fun thriller. Or I wouldn't say fun, but it definitely kept me on the edge of my seat. So I don't think it has been picked up for American distribution, but when it does, I think the viewers at home should definitely keep an eye out.
Yes, and speaking of thrillers, something that I saw this weekend that I wanted to spotlight was The Humans, directed by Stephen Karam, who won a Tony for writing the Broadway play. And this is a film that strangely comes off feeling like a horror film for a lot of its runtime, despite being a really tense family drama. And what really anchors this movie is some absolutely fantastic performances from Stephen Yeun, Beanie Feldstein, Marsha Plimpton, I think is the actress's name. I might be wrong on that one, but mainly the person I want to highlight is Richard Jenkins, who plays the lead. He plays the dad of this family, and his performance, especially in the last third of the movie, where he gets a lot of time to just himself to wander around, his facial expressions and his body language is incredible. It's a truly great performance and something to watch out for come Oscar season, because I think he could be snapping a nomination.
Did you watch that one?
Oh, I did watch that one with Hunter too, and it was very good. It's a family drama, but the way it was shot makes it seem like a horror movie, like a suspense one. So it was a very unique experience compared to a lot of other movies I've seen in the horror genre or family drama genre.
Yeah. And speaking of things that could nab Oscar nominations, I think all eyes are on Kristen Stewart and starring in Spencer, obviously, and it was truly a beautiful movie. The production design, the costume design, the way it was shot, it just made it look like a wedding cake, and it was gorgeous. One of the best looking films of the year, and Kristen Stewart, I think, does deliver that stellar performance that I would call the best performance of 2021. Robbie, what did you think of that film?
Oh, I really enjoyed Spencer a lot. I love the production design behind it, like the clothing and all of that. If you noticed Kristen Stewart's character Diana, her clothing compared to the others, it's bright and cheerful, while others are all gray and dark. So I thought that was a really great choice.
Absolutely. Another film I know you loved that I also loved, and I'll let you talk about it first, is Come On, Come On.
I loved Come On, Come On so much. It's a new movie from Mike Mills. It stars Joaquin Phoenix. It's about an uncle who is a radio host as he records kids and their thoughts on the world in the future, and it's about his story about taking care of his nephew for an extended period of time, and him learning more about the world from his nephew, and his nephew learning more about him, and it's just a beautifully shot movie.
Yeah, it's beautiful, deeply moving, surprisingly very funny. We laughed through the entire film, and a lot of the comedy comes from the child actor who gives a truly stellar performance. Probably the best child performance I've seen since Jacob Tremblay in Room, and I wish I knew the young actor's name because he is fantastic in this film. Another film I think we'd be remiss not to mention was the opening night film, that being Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch. And, of course, it was phenomenal. The intricacies of Wes Anderson's production design and his film style is incredible. Amanda, what did you have to say?
I just say, like, I think that was like one of the most painful moments of Austin Film Festival for me, is not being able to see that movie. I didn't get a badge for it. That was my mistake. But I definitely want to know what y'all think about it, because I have high expectations for this movie.
I do have some thoughts. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I've seen all of his films, and so I definitely want to see this one. And like Hunter said, the production design, all of that, that was spectacular. Some of his best work. But this movie is an anthology movie. It's made up of 3 separate stories, and because of that, I think the movie lacked a bit of like emotion or human connection in a way, because it didn't have much time to develop the characters. Like, think of his other characters like Mr. Fox from Fantastic Mr. Fox, or Monsieur Gustav from The Grand Budapest Hotel. There wasn't really any characters like that for me who I really like connected to and like enjoyed. But in terms of just like seeing the comedy and production design, that made it worth it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a fun movie, and a movie that I will definitely revisit in the future, just for the sheer laughs that it gives, and just to look at this beautiful design movie. Owen Wilson is fantastic, and I love each separate story in its own right. I think everyone's going to come out of the film with a different favorite story. Personally, I loved the Frances McDormand, Timothée Chalamet storyline the best. I loved that one. But I think everybody, they're all great. You know, the art story with Léa Seydoux, and then the final story with Jeffrey Wright and the police chef, and they're all fantastic in their own right. And the one thing I will say is I loved the 2D animation in that final segment of the film. It really made me want to see an entire 2D animated Wes Anderson film. I think that could be a lot of fun.
I agree. And the 2D animation was a lot like the kind of art you see in newspapers, and this movie is The French Dispatch, which is like a newspaper, kind of news column paper, so it really felt in line with the aesthetic.
Absolutely. And another thing that's cool about Awesome Film Fest is you get to see some things that are really small, made on super micro budgets for nothing. And so I know one of Robbie's favorites was the Cardboard Fort.
Oh yes, Cardboard Fort. This is a movie shot in like Britain, and stars of a bunch of kids and their neighborly shenanigans, and there's a bit of a kid gang war in a sense.
Yeah.
They use water guns, of course, and they like water balloons, and it's just like a fun summer scene where they have.
Yeah, it's a really fun movie. It's very much in line with things like Taika Waititi's Hunt for the Wilder People, and you can definitely tell it was inspired by the work of Edgar Wright and Taika, and it's just a lot of fun. And getting to hear the director talk about afterwards how it was made for £5,000, which was roughly, you know, $7,000 US, is super inspiring to hear from us as film students who want to make things, and to hear that they made something so cool and so fun and energetic on such a cheap budget, and particularly with the colors that this film conveys. It's really bright, and it's really a fun time. It gives a lot of laughs, and it was really inspiring to see, and I enjoyed the film.
Yeah, going off what you said, like, I feel like there's such a big variety of movies that are shown in AFF. Going off from like the lower budget movies, I know I also interviewed the director of a movie called Karma Link, and the concept by itself was really interesting. It's like, it mixes like sci-fi with Buddhism, it's like takes place in Cambodia, and it's like, it talks about all these different things. It's like a really unique story. And I saw like the trailer and had amazing CGI, and it's a very low budget movie, they told me.
That's crazy. I'm sad I didn't get a chance to see that. One more I'm sad I didn't get a chance to see, just to wrap it up, is Cicada, and I'll let Robbie close us out with Cicada.
Cicada was a very, very interesting movie. Just what can I say? Well, it's not really much to say. It's kind of left me speechless. There were definitely cicadas in there.
Just like Memoria, right? Memoria also left you speechless?
Yes, there's a lot.
Put him to sleep. All right, so that's all we have for today, folks. Thanks for letting us talk about AFF here for a little bit. I'm Hunter.
Amanda.
I'm Robbie.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
That's all for tonight, folks. But be sure to join us next week to get the latest in pop culture.
I'm Mason Simpson.
And I'm Erin Aaliyah.
See you next week, Sneak Peekers.